Hey guys, how you doing today? Just got on my way home from the grocery store. Thought I'd do a recording, just getting off work, going to the grocery store. Had a good day at work today. Real nice day. It's nice when it's busy, passes the time real fast. Everybody's going through big changes because of the COVID-19 thing. At the toy store, there's, concerns about social distancing over Christmas, I think. So big things are happening. Moving lots of stuff. So you come into my toy store, it's going to be different than what you're used to. I think I really want to talk about what's been banging around my head today. It's just the state of Canadian politics. And I've been talking for a long time about how the media is really unhelpful, doesn't keep us informed. Today I just kind of want to place everything. I'm going to do Canadian politics, and then I'll have a brief moment at the end where I do American politics, because American politics, in my view, is actually much more straightforward than Canadian politics, although the two are linked in many ways. So, the ruling class in Canada has always been the Liberal Party, right? They're called the Natural Ruling Party. The Liberal Party finds itself getting in bed, and it's typically the intelligentsia of the Canadian society, right? That manages to convince the Canadian populace to continuously vote for them, right? And the Liberals maintain power by attempting to exist in all spheres in a way that is palatable, there's the word, in a way that's palatable for the entire populace, right? So they're not popular, right? People don't like the Liberals. They're not like raving and throwing huge parties for the Liberals, but they are definitely, the Liberals seem to be the best of the worst options for the most amount of people. And of course, this always starts with the same old, right? Who do the Liberals actually work for? And the answer is obviously corporate power, right? The Liberals work for corporate power as much as the Conservatives do, right? The thing is that they've always managed to maintain power because they convince in my view, gullible populace that they aren't as invested in corporate power as the Conservatives are. And the Conservatives are just clumsy, right? The Conservatives are like rapaciously pro-corporate down to like a raw ideological, like they really are true believers that if we gut all social services, sell them to the private sector, hand everything over to a small group of billionaires, those small group of billionaires will somehow run important governmental programs better. That will lead to efficiency because of free market, yada nonsense, right? All that stuff that obviously and objectively fails. That's obvious in front of you if you open your eyes for 30 seconds and you aren't like a complete ideologue. It's the Conservatives, of course, have begun to realize that this is a failing strategy, and so they've really opened their doors up to fascists and racists and people who believe that Jesus Christ is coming home any second to judge the wicked and side with the righteous, who is obviously the members of the Conservative Party, right? So there's like, in the Conservative Party, there's high levels of delusion, and that delusion really does manifest itself in the ideological belief that if you just sacrifice everything to a free market, quote unquote, free market, i.e. a market that's been dominated by a handful of billionaires, that somehow the society will improve for that. I mean, leave it to the people who think Jesus is coming back any moment to think that nonsense is real. But The liberals, on the other hand, they don't believe any of that ideological nonsense, but they understand where the money is. Okay? That's the difference, right? The conservatives are holding on to these things from an ideological point of view. They're holding on to these things because it aligns with their belief system. And if reality asserts itself against that belief system, then it's reality that must be wrong. Whereas the liberals, they have no such ideological belief, right? They don't necessarily believe that free market capitalism is the best solution to all problems. They don't even espouse that. But they understand where the money is. They understand who has the money. And they're not interested in alienating the people who have the money. If anything, they're interested in befriending those people, right? They want to, while they're not willing to wholesale the entire society over to the billionaire class, they're certainly not going to do anything to prevent that slide towards the billionaire class. They're certainly not going to do anything to actually fight the monopolization of the society by the billionaire class. They're not doing anything to kind of prevent any of these movements. And in many cases, they make strong positions that sound good, like we're taking a stand against the wealthy in this society by raising their taxes by 0.1234856%, while simultaneously giving them enormous handouts that completely obliterate the any benefits that would be wrought from raising those taxes. I mean, case in point, Galen Weston, the second richest Canadian, gets like all new fridges bought for him in all of his Loblaws, right? Well, there's your 1% tax increase, right? Like, you just went and bought Galen Weston a bunch of new fridges with his own money, right? It's just as if Galen Weston bought himself new fridges. Like, this is how the liberals move, right? But because they're not willing, and their game is always the same, they're not willing to completely capitulate to corporate power and completely sell the society over to the billionaire class, the way that the conservatives are obviously interested in doing. Like, here in Ontario, it's become so painfully obvious and so stupidly obvious that you'd have to be a child to think otherwise. Like, the long-term, I believe Press Progress just did an article on the long-term care home and how there's a class action suit going to be filed not only against the care homes, these private-owned care homes, but against the Ontario government. And, of course, Doug Ford is attempting to pass, or has passed, legislation in order to make this process more difficult, because Doug Ford is a political hack who works on behalf of corporate power and who is attempting to also continue privatizing other social services and other healthcare providers, because he doesn't care that these long-term care homes have fallen into complete disarray and disrepair because they're just using your grandpa and grandma as money siphons so that they can make their lives, a living nightmare. They were saying, for God's sakes, that there was one woman who hadn't been bathed in 6 weeks. Like, go fuck yourself. Like, for real, go fuck yourself. You're telling me you want to privatize anything in this society? I think you're evil, if that's what you're saying. I don't think you have an ideology that I disagree with. I think you're evil on the same level as Skeletor or Voldemort and need to be stopped. And if you're siding and voting for people who are doing that kind of stuff, you're either a completely evil or just a dupe, just a delusional idiot who needs to wake up from their torpor and realize that actions have consequences. And if you privatize something, evil things happen to the people who rely on those services 100% of the time. There's no exception. Privatization is evil. And it needs to be full stop. It needs to be fully stopped. Completely. And so the liberals look at the evil, which is the Conservative Party, and they go, well, we only need to be slightly better than that. Like, we don't need to be good. We just need to not be total evil jerks, right? We just need to be slightly better. And then even better, the liberals are like professionals at this. They actually give something to the populace every so often, right? Every so often they look at the populace and they go, it wouldn't kill us to legalize marijuana. You know, this plant that should have never been made illegal in the first place, that we could definitely build an entire corporate empire around and make a whole lot of money, not only for ourselves, but for our buddies. Yeah, we could probably just legalize marijuana. We're not going to pardon anybody and make sure anybody gets out of prison for it. But yeah, we could legalize it to make sure that the white population is at least sated. That's fine. We'll say we'll look into electoral reform. That's better than the conservatives would ever do. And so this is how the liberals maintain power, right? They just act and they say all the right things and they sound like they're good. And then they just, kind of do little underhanded things here and there. Just to remind you, yeah, we're still politicians. We're still self-interested. We don't really care about you. Like, did you benefit from marijuana legalization? That's just a side effect. And that's the Liberal Party. And then you look over at the NDP. And the NDP are weak. The NDP are, like, traditionally the socialist party here in Canada. And they have just been getting weaker and weaker as they've been getting more popular. It's like have you, when you watch a movie version of a book that you really enjoyed and they decide to change everything. And it always makes you question, right? Wait, we really liked this book because of its story. Why did you change the story? And it's like the same thing happened to the NDP. They got popular because they were openly socialists who were fighting on the behalf of socialist ideas and socialism, defending socialism. And as they got more popular, they started to shy more and more away from the socialism moniker and from being the Socialist Party, which of course is the reason they got popular in the first place. And so now they've lost a whole bunch of support. Why? Because they're not socialists anymore. The best label I could give them is just orange liberals, right? Their strategy is really obvious, which is, we're not going to be moral, or we're not going to actually offer things to the populace. We're just going to be slightly better than the liberals, who are slightly better than the conservatives, and maybe we'll offer you slightly more, so that if you get exhausted with the conservatives and the liberals, which you already should be exhausted with the conservatives and the liberals, if you're like a diehard on either of these two, I think you're dumb. Like, I just think you're dumb. Like, at best. At worst, you're evil, and at best, you're dumb. Like, and that's if you're a diehard. Like, if you're one of these people who are in a district who it's like, the conservatives have 30% support, the liberals have 31% support, the NDP have 2% support, they're not going to get in. I gotta vote liberal because they are slightly better than the conservatives, and the conservatives are like gonna privatize my job and like all that kind of nonsense. Then yeah, like, you got to do what you got to do, bud. Like, that's just what you have to do in this stupid system we live in. But if you're sitting there and like your NDP or Green Party member has an actual chance, and you're going, I always vote liberal. I always vote liberal. Liberals always done good for me. You're dumb. You're just a dummy. Like, you gotta just stop voting. Just stop voting. Help everybody out. Really. I mean that. Stop voting. But the reality, the thing that's really hurting the NDP now, right? And it's getting more and more obvious as the NDP gets more and more bold in what it feels it can offer to the populace. Because it's starting to offer things like a basic income. It's going to start offering things like higher taxation on corporations. It's going to start offering dental care, right? Eye care. It's going to start offering things that socialist governments historically always offer and execute on to help the populace, and then the populace immediately forgets and, well, Venezuelans, because we're stupid and gullible. So the NDP, the thing that's really hurting them right now is that their leader, Jagmeet Singh, wears a turban. I don't think his race matters that much to Canadians. I think the Canadians look at him and they understand, like, yeah, he's a man of color. Like, there he is. He's got the beard. Okay. Like, I think most Canadians are okay with that. It is the turban. It's just a little too foreign. It's a little too different. It's a little too difficult for the majority of Canadians, who are largely very stupid and gullible, to buy into. Like, and so it makes it a really difficult sell. The one positive note is that anytime the media is forced to, and it is a forcing, anytime the media is forced to actually allow Jagmeet Singh to speak, and on a national stage where people actually listen, his numbers go up. So every time the media is locked in, so like the debates last election, right? Jagmeet Singh was able to speak twice without being completely interrupted or ramrodded by the idiots on the stage. Which, hey, gotta say, how do you know your media is completely flagrantly disinterested in actually forming a conversation? They don't turn the mics off during the debates. If you think that your media is interested in anything but stirring chaos and controversy, you're dumb. And you can just look at the fact that they don't turn the mics off while they ask a person a question, and if they were interested in the answer from that individual, they would turn everybody else's mics off, right? And then once that person was finished their time, they would turn their mic off, and then they would ask someone else to respond, and they would turn their mic on. That's easy to do. It's very simple to do that. Any tech in the world knows how to do this. They don't do that because they want politicians to interrupt one another. They're not interested in getting clear answers. They're interested in chaos. They're interested in disruption. They're interested in ensuring that the Canadian people do not get the information they need in order to formulate a proper response. That's what the media is for here in Canada. And then there's the Green Party, right? Then there's the Green Party, which has just been steadily chugging along. It is a party that should not exist. The fact that it exists is a total failure by both the NDP and the Liberal Party. It is a party that should not exist, should have 0 seats. The issues that it stands for and the issues that it talks about should be NDP platform number 1, front and center. And near as I can tell, anytime I look at the Green Party, they are a principled party. Anytime anybody says something bad about the Green Party, I look into it, and it turns out that they've just drank the capitalist Kool-Aid, which hardly shocking. Canadians are very gullible. Like, you can really sell them anything, and they'll buy it. Like, if I was a Ferengi, right, the Canadians would be just a ripe plum target. We'd just like, you can sell them anything. You can sell them any idea. Yeah. That government program there that's providing you health care, it's doing a bad job. Ignore the fact that I completely defunded it. It's doing a bad job. I'll do a better job. Let me take it over. And then while they're running away with bags of money filled like with dollar signs on them, everybody's like, "What happened? I don't understand what happened." Canadians are very stupid. And it happens all the time. It happens constantly. Like, it's happening here in Ontario. It's happening in Alberta. It's happening in Manitoba. It just seems to happen over and over and over again, where people are like, yeah, I guess we'll just let this guy take control of our grandma. He'll be nice, right? He'll be nice, right? No, he's not going to be nice. He's not going to give your grandma a bath for 6 weeks, and then he's going to take her money, pocket it, and take off to Bahama, right? He doesn't give a shit about you. He doesn't give a shit about your grandma, right? He's not and none of the people who work in those facilities are mandated to do anything, right? They've been completely deregulated. So they'll just hire a teenager to sit at the front so that when people come in, they'll be like, "Hey, how you doing? Can I help you? Oh yeah, your grandma's in her room. I haven't seen her in 6 weeks. Yeah, we haven't bathed her or washed her or anything. She's probably shit herself." Right? Like, they don't give a shit at all. I used to work as an assistant funeral home director, and I would go into these places, and they were just awful. Like, they were always awful. There was always frantic people who didn't know what was going on, overworked, obviously overworked, and just anyway. And so, like, if Canadians were not gullible and stupid, the Conservatives would not exist, right? They are the fascist racist party. They would simply not exist. Their platform literally is, we want to burn Canada to the ground. That's their platform. Their platform literally is, we want to just gut this place and burn it to the ground, and give all the money to rich people. And that's our platform. And anybody who makes under $100,000 who is voting Conservative, you're just dumb. Like, your life is going to be harder. It's going to be significantly harder under a Conservative government. Under a liberal government, your life will be the same. Like, one thing might change that is of minor consequence to you, but your life will be the same. If you vote NDP, your life might actually change for the better, right? Things might actually improve around here ever so slightly, but it does mean you have to vote for a guy who's got a turban on, and I know that that's tough for you. I know that's really tough. And then if you vote Green, if you're in a district where you actually get a Green Party member into a seat, then life will also improve for you, because they have always made good on their promises, and they promise good things. I have nothing but respect for the Green Party and what they've done. And usually when people fling things at the Green Party, it's because they're ignorant, which is, 99% of the populace. People don't really know what's going on, but I forgive them, because their entire media structure is designed to lie to them. But they gullibly believe it. That's the big thing, right? They're like, the media lies, and then the media says something, and they're like, I definitely believe what the media said, even though they're like, they know the media lies to them all the time. And so instead of being skeptical and thinking they're being lied to, you just go along with it because you're dumb and gullible. And that's just most Canadians, right? But we're better than the States. Yeah, we're better than the States. That's like saying your house that burnt down is better than the house that got nuked. Like, that's the difference. I don't have a whole lot of time left, so I'm just going to run through American politics real quick here. America doesn't have a political system. It has a theater system that is designed to look like politics. It is in no way a political structure. It is simply there to funnel revolutionary movements, which are actually political, into the theater, right? And that's what Bernie Sanders was. He was a way to funnel a revolutionary movement into a theatrical show and to quell it. It's designed to look like politics, and I'm sure that there are many people within that system who believe that it is politics. It is not. It is theater, strictly. It exists only to obfuscate, confuse, and create chaos for a populace that should dismantle it completely to the ground. It is irredeemable. It is irredeemable. Like, it's not a democracy. It's not a governing system. It really is just a way for wealthy people to dupe the populace, and it's a big con. Like, it's a big con. the like the Canadian electoral system functions, as does the European electoral systems. They still function, right? If you want something to change in your society, you vote for it, and something will change, right? And if a con man shows up and cons gullible people into saying, hey, let's privatize something, and you go along with it because you're gullible, then he's going to do it. And if somebody stands up and says, hey, we're going to offer free healthcare for all, and you go, that sounds like a good idea, so you vote for it and you get it, and they do it, right? That's what happened here in Canada. In the States, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The country is controlled completely by wealthy oligarchs. The democratic system that exists in the States is just theatrics. It literally doesn't matter. If, let's say, let's create the magic scenario that says, let's say the people managed to push through the completely calcified and dead Democratic Party, which is completely controlled by wealthy oligarchs who could just override everything with superdelegates. Let's say maybe they do it through the Republican Party, which is completely owned by oil industry, fossil fuel, and bankers, who will absolutely not allow any revolutionary movement through, which was like a great trick they pulled with Donald Trump. They didn't care that Donald Trump was getting pushed through because Donald Trump played ball, right? Everybody he appointed was just an insider, right? And so they were just like, they just welcomed him in. But let's create the magical scenario where somehow some revolutionary person who's actually interested in doing revolutionary things for the American people manages to push his way up through the American into the American office, becomes the president. And let's say the people manage to clear out the Congress and clear out the Senate, and a new People's Party comes in and takes over, and the whole thing is completely taken over by people who are going to enact socialism and give people free health care and a basic income and all this kind of stuff. They would just do away with the process. That's what would happen in America. They would just do away with it because it's no longer benefiting the rich. And if it's no longer benefiting the rich, then they'll just do away with it. Frank Zappa had a really interesting quote, which was, once the electoral system becomes more expensive to maintain than it benefits the wealthy, they'll just slide the chairs away, pull back the curtain, and all you'll see is the bare brick at the back of the theater. That's a paraphrase, but that's the idea. And it's exactly true. That should the Americans actually manage to put any electoral person in power who will benefit the wealthy at all, they will simply get rid of the electoral system. And no, the Americans, unlike the Canadians and the Europeans, the Americans are in a position where the only thing left is revolution. They have no alternative. And the people who are on the streets know that. The people who are getting picked up in unmarked vans and dragged away, they know that. Anybody who is telling you, settle for Biden, which is an actual thing they're saying, is just deluded. Like, just completely deluded. Or evil, right? That's always an option. Mainly it's delusion, though, right? This deluded idea that Biden's going to get in and anything is going to change. It's just theater, kids. Like, it's just theater. It's not a political system. And anytime I tune in and start to pay attention to any kind of commentary that surrounds that gets deeper into it, with minor exceptions, people don't really understand that the American political system is not a political system, it's a theater system. It's designed to look like politics. So, get to the streets. That's your only choice. Get to the streets, and if you're not getting to the streets, then you're not doing politics in America. You're not doing politics when you go vote. You're not doing politics when you write a letter to your congressman. You're not doing politics when you go to a town hall. You're not doing politics when you read the newspaper or listen to the news in America. The only time you are ever doing politics in America is when you are standing in front of the elected official's house with a group of people demanding change. That's the only time that you are doing politics in America. All right, guys. As always, get laid, get drunk, get fucked. Go do your best. God help you. God help us all. Try to have a good day. I had a good day today. I think you can have a good day today or tomorrow. Do what you can to just let it all float off you. Best as you can. Oy. All right. Like, share, subscribe. Good luck. Godspeed.